All right, guys. Welcome to another afternoon best ball live stream. I brought in my pal Hayden Winks. He has been in my drafts throughout this offseason, and I decided to finally bring him on. Hayden, how we doing, my fellow millennial with the light blue fluorescent background?
That's right. Once I got over the 10,000 follower mark on Twitter, I finally got the big league invite to join the stream. So very appreciative of that. That's
ultimately, what kind of said. I refuse to have anyone under, that has less than 10,000. I can't bother with the plebeians. So I appreciate you stepping up to the big leagues, and now we can bring you onto the stream.
Yeah, it should be fun. We got about every news item to hit on, all happening at once right now too.
I know. So we'll tell you. So I've seen the Alvin Kamara stuff. Is there anything else I've missed?
We're gonna have Leonard Fournette news hopping in any second, whether he went unclaimed or not. He probably did go unclaimed. He's also trying to sue the Jaguars, so maybe we'll find a landing spot for Leonard Fournette during the stream too. So
right as of this moment, where do you draft Alvin Kamara?
Probably middle to late first round. I think it's probably unlikely that he gets traded. I mean, there's certainly a chance just because it was reported. And there is some legit cap problems with the Saints right now, but I don't know. This is their window to win. Like, Drew Brees is about to retire, so why wouldn't you go all in, even if it kind of put your team behind in years like 2022? So I feel comfortable drafting Kamara over Dalvin Cook even.
For sure. Real quick, you guys, we are in the Best Ball Mania draft on Underdog, $25 price point, 3 more spots if you guys want to battle. Hayden and I are both in this separately, so we'll be battling it out. To me, that thing from the Saints, to me, that feels like a public leverage thing, right? Trying to shift it back of these teams. They're telling Kamara, you're just gonna have to come and play because we're not gonna pay you. We're willing to trade you. So to me, I just see that as posturing more than anything.
Yeah, I agree. I wouldn't move him down too much. I don't think his holdout risk is like too big. I think Dalvin Cook has maybe a little more holdout risk. I think it's kind of a contrarian take, but I think that the Saints are very incentivized to get a deal done as long as Kamara isn't like going for like Christian McCaffrey money where it's like completely unreasonable, but they probably figure something out soon.
So now that we have all of this turmoil in tumult in the first round, are you going to come around to the 0 RB side, buddy?
We'll see what pick I have here. Perhaps so. Michael Thomas is becoming a little more intriguing. Same with Davante Adams. I will give you some credit to that, but I don't know, man. I've done too much research to throw that out on this podcast here. So I think I'm gonna have to go RB just to tilt you guys off.
You did. No, but like, all jokes aside, I mean, the first round for a while was looking fairly attractive, and now I'm like, I took my first Zeke share the other day. I haven't been a big Zeke guy, but now it's like McCaffrey, Barkley, Zeke, and then for me, it's Michael Thomas after that. I just there's so many question marks with these guys. I guess people are wanting to talk themselves into Derrick Henry, but in general, there's so many question marks in the first round now.
Oh, so many question marks that all these guys getting banged up in practice too. I think ultimately all these guys will end up being fine, but there is certainly some risk that you do not have to take with the wide receivers and particularly with the tight ends. I keep drafting Travis Kelce, so he better have a big year for me.
I know. Yeah, that I've been drafting a ton of Kittle and Kelce, although now Kittle has a hamstring issue and he hasn't been playing.
Yeah, Kittle might see like 160 targets the way that the 49ers receivers are banged up too, though.
Uh-oh, Hayden. You're picking 8. I'm 9. We are going to be battling it out in the draft.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay, 108, 109 here. You already committed to going running back, so if Michael Thomas is there, you have to let him fall to me. You're contractually obligated.
Well, I actually have Davante Adams above Michael Thomas too, so even if I was going to receiver, I would be going Davante Adams.
There we go. So what actually talk that through for me? That's actually a spicy take.
I'm just more concerned that Drew Brees is about to fall off a cliff more so than Aaron Rodgers, and I think that both of them are like in very similar roles where they're locked into a bunch of targets. They're both really good football players, and I just think that I mean, did you see the picture of Drew Brees like last week? He looked really bad, man. So I adjusted the rankings based off of that, which is probably a fish move, but I think that they're projected similarly, that I would rather bet on the guy that's not attached to a 41-year-old quarterback.
Look at you, millennials. Davis admitted the other day he changed A.J. Dillon's ranks after seeing his quad photos. Now you're admitting to changing your quarterback rank. Guys, don't trust your millennial rankers out there. They're just plastic bags floating in the wind, reacting to whatever little news they see online.
Yeah, I mean, if you got to give me some credit here. If you look at that Drew Brees picture, he was looking really bad. I mean, compare him to Tom Brady. Tom Brady still looks like he's like 33. Drew Brees definitely looks like he's a 41-year-old quarterback.
Yeah, well, we know. I mean, we got to get Drew Brees on the TB12 plan. All those rejuvenative,
brain supplements,
juices should get him on the straight and narrow.
Yep.
The biggest beneficiary of all this stuff, what is it? Latavius and Ty Montgomery?
Yeah, I would still think it'd be Latavius Murray. I've seen some Ty Montgomery hype enough so where like I would be targeting him deep in drafts. But I think Latavius Murray is like legit top 2, top 3 insurance back. Same thing with Chase Edmonds and Alexander Madison. I think all 3 of those guys were being drafted probably a little too late given the contract statuses and just like the upside in those offenses in general.
So Michael Thomas goes off the board at 105. That dream is dead. You used to be able to get him here at 108, 109. Are you going to take your boy Clyde Edwards-Helaire or what?
Yeah, this was pretty easy for me. I have Clyde Edwards-Helaire 4th overall now, just because I think that there aren't very many concerns outside of him just being a complete bust. But I'll take my chances there. First round, early declare. All preseason reports believe that he's been balling out at practice. So give me the guy that's attached to the best offense in the league. And we even saw Damian Williams, who I don't think is like any more than like an average back. He was like the RB3 overall in points per game after week 9 last year. So I think that Clyde Edwards-Helaire's floor and ceiling makes him like a pretty intriguing guy in the middle of the first round now.
Yeah. The thing that gives it, we've seen rookie running backs just absolutely smash, right? I mean, what it was Zeke and Saquon Barkley, these guys, but those guys were even like top 3 or top 4 picks. You have the offense offsetting things here for I just am not a big believer in Clyde Edwards-Helaire's talent, but we know that probably doesn't matter in the Chiefs offense, like you said. Ooh, nice. Yeah. I love it when Julio comes back to me there.
I know. That's solid. All right, I'm gonna stick with the plan. I'm gonna go with Austin Eckler, who kind of the same situation as Clyde Edwards-Helaire, just in a worse offense. Like there isn't a guy behind him that's like really threatening him. He's going to be used in the passing game, and he has the highest value touches there are. And I think that he's just another high floor option.
Yeah. If you're I've done a few drafts where I have, I've forsaken everything I believe in, and I've grabbed a running back in the second round. And when I do, it is a guy like Eckler, maybe Aaron Jones. I want that back to catch passes. If I'm taking a running back in the second, they better catch passes. And that's why I'm just out on Jacobs. I'm out on Chubb. There's really not a price I'm taking those guys relative to where they'd realistically go.
Yeah, they have to fall to me at the late second round where I'm kind of forced into it. Like there's a time like in the late second where I don't really like any of the guys. Like DeAndre Hopkins falls to me. Like Josh Jacobs, Aaron Jones, these types of guys fall to me, and they're just kind of like the best available. So I'm forced into it, but they're not the players I would rather be having. I think where we were at that in the draft, we both get guys that we actually like. And I think that if we picked like 3rd overall, 4th overall, we kind of get left with whoever's just available, which not usually the best case.
Yeah. The other thing, have you done a bunch of I know you're in the best ball streets. Have you done a bunch of the Underdog ones?
Yeah, I probably got about 10 in each of them. So
yeah. The thing is, the wide receivers in these relative to, drafters, DraftKings, the wide receivers just get absolutely gobbled up. And like all bits aside, like it's forcing me into zero RB. I feel like I don't have a choice, because if I'm not coming out of the 7th or 8th round with at least 5 or 6 wide receivers, I feel so exposed.
Yeah, the Underdog ADPs are so sharp that like you're just kind of stuck with whoever drops to you. And like you said, if you're not getting a wide receiver in the 3rd, 4th, 5th round, the drop off is pretty big in the 6th, 7th, 8th round. I keep drafting Jameson Crowder in like round 7, and I don't want to be doing that, but that's just kind of how it goes with all the wide receiver 3s are off the board by like round 5, round 6.
Yeah, I know. And I've avoided the Jamison Crowder one. I don't mind grabbing, Jamison Crowder is a good proxy for we're just chasing volume, right? And it's why I pass up on Robert Woods early, because I think guys like Jamison Crowder, Jarvis Landry, Tyler Boyd, you can get similar projected volume for way cheaper. And I just want to take bigger cracks in these early rounds. But yeah, if you get squeezed out and you're just needing to backfill, like a guy like Crowder is going to give you that volume.
Yeah, I think he's going to catch 90 passes this year. Like the Jets, I mean, that offense is going to be so bad, but there's no other receiver. Like Brashad Perriman's out with knee swelling. Denzel Mims hasn't even practiced yet. I don't even know. I think it's like Chris Hogan's their wide receiver 3 right now. So Jamison Crowder is just going to be forced into it. It's going to be the ugliest 90 catches ever, but I think that he's going to get there.
What was the news? Actually, no, we'll let you pick here. You are on deck. What are you going to do here?
Definitely looking at receivers. I'm probably going to go with, let's see, Allen Robinson's off the board. That's usually who I've been drafting in the 3rd round. I'm going to go with Adam Thielen. And this is just like another volume play. I think that he has top 5 projected targets. And I think that just like what we're saying with Eckler or with Jameson Crowder, that he's just going to be kind of forced into a lot of volume, and it might not always be pretty, but I think that we can project a lot of catches for Thielen.
Yeah, I was happy to snap pick Mike Evans behind you. I don't mind the Thielen pick at all. I do think Mike Evans is very mispriced at 3.9.
I've drafted him a lot. I also like his late season schedule. So if you're really trying to galaxy brain this, I'm not sure if you've done this yet, but I've been looking at like week 14, week 15, week 16 to really try to piece together some stacks between offenses that play each other. Like go full galaxy brain for these tournaments. And yeah, I've been drafting Mike Evans because of that.
Is the room? Oh, are we gonna do it? Or are they gonna let us pull off the Falcons double stack? Let's do it.
All right, I see you. I love Calvin Ridley. He's gonna be such a beast.
Yeah, but after you pick Robert Woods there, right? I didn't talk you after him saying that you could get cheap volume later. I guess I'm not that persuasive.
Nah, Robert Woods. He's basically checked every single box for me outside of just being like a true like alpha receiver. The Rams when they're trailing, they pass the ball at the highest rate. When their Rams are trailing, they also play with the fastest pace. I don't think that the Rams are going to be very good this year. They might use more 12 personnel, which definitely helps out Robert Woods because they were subbing Cooper Kupp off the field in those situations. So I think that Robert Woods is going to be like really bankable, high floor player, and he was already top 10 in usage down the stretch last year. So I think once again, top 10 targets for Robert Woods this year.
Yeah. Yep. I definitely see the case. And there's I still think there's a lot of uncertainty in that Rams offense. We saw the tale of 2 seasons for Gerald Everett and Higbee. We saw the tale of 2 seasons for Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods. So I do think there's some volatility in trying to project that offense, but I do think it's pretty safe to say Robert Woods is going to see a lot of volume.
Yeah, I dropped Cooper Kupp just because I'm not certain about his role and I'm not fully certain about the offense in general. But I think that like Robert Woods is like the one piece of the offense that I'm like pretty certain is going to be the number 1 target for most games. Yeah.
I can tell we're in a sharp draft because one of the things that I think is one of the few inefficiencies in Underdog ADP is the tight ends, Mark Andrews and Zach Ertz. The fact that you've been able to get Mark Andrews into the 4th, Zach Ertz beginning of the 5th has just been insane. So Mark Andrews goes off the board here early 4th, and now Zach Ertz. And I think that's more just reacting to the Rager news and people finally waking up and realizing that Zach Ertz is once again going to be a volume monster.
Yep, volume monster, no other options in that offense. I think Mark Andrews is the guy I still prefer even with the Jalen Reagor news, just because I think Mark Andrews, routes run perspective, just with he's going to be on the field more. I think he was only running a route on like 41% of the Ravens dropbacks last year. I think people are overestimating how much this Ravens passing offense is going to regress. Whatever they don't do in touchdowns, they're going to do it with more passing volume. So I think we're kind of overthinking how good Mark Andrews is in an actually good offense. And I think that he's probably should be priced closer to Travis Kelce and George Kittle than what he is over the last couple weeks.
Yeah, and if you want to break, I'm completely with you. I think Andrews is ready to ascend into that tier with Kittle and Kelsey. And if you did have them close, you should definitely break the tie in favor of Andrews on the half-point PPR. If you want to break it in favor of Ertz on DraftKings or a full-point PPR, I think that makes sense. But yeah, Andrews is an absolute smash. And I'm actually a little disappointed because he's been kind of a bedrock of these zero RB teams for me, where I start with 3 or 4 wide receivers, and I'm able to get Andrews and Ertz every time. But with Hayden Winks coming out, all the sharks are out today, I guess.
Yeah, apparently I've been playing myself with that. Apparently, let's see. I think that these running backs are finally getting to where I might pull the trigger on one of these. And I like David Johnson, Le'Veon Bell. I mean, this is disgusting, but we'll see. I'll probably still end up with a receiver. I think that Devontae Parker is kind of somebody that we've been overthinking a little bit too. Like, I get Preston Williams. I'm a big Preston Williams fan. I've been drafting him a lot, but I think that there's enough with just those two and then a little bit of Gesicki later that I think that Devontae Parker, just his usage last year was amazing. We have to ding that down a little bit, but we're talking like a top 5 receiver in the second half of last year with Devontae Parker. So I think that as a wide receiver 3, that's totally fine.
I'm with you on the take, but I did see stuff about he hasn't been practicing lately. Have you seen that? Do you work at Rotoworld? I can't remember.
Yeah, I actually have not heard of that, so that's probably bad on my.
I'm grinding hard to do it.
I know NBC execs are going to come in my mentions now.
Let's see. It's your pick.
Yep. All right, Michael Gallup. I think just a stud player, stud offense. I don't think that there's too much to discuss with Michael Gallup. I think that there's enough to go around, and he was basically on pace with Amari Cooper last year. So I think that Michael Gallup's going to smash.
Here's a guy that I've started drafting more recently. This ties back to our conversation at the beginning about looking at these playoff schedules. And there's also the bonus for Mike Williams is out. Keenan Allen is setting up to, in a similar Bobby Trees kind of fashion, being a volume monster. But here's what really gets me excited. Their schedule is at home versus Atlanta. So I'm setting up, that's week 14. So I'm setting up this Falcon stack. So they're at home versus Atlanta. They're on the road in Vegas. That'll be a dome game. And then at home versus Denver. So those are 3 warm weather or dome games in the playoffs. And I'm feeling good about Keenan there now.
Yeah, Rotoworld, we did a top 30 fades, and I had Keenan on there initially, and then Mike Williams got hurt, and I had to immediately take him off that list. I couldn't even go to war against Keenan Allen at that point. One time, I used to work for the Chargers, and one time Keenan Allen, I was wearing a USC sweatshirt, and he went to Cal, and they were playing against each other, and he was trying to bet me like $200 that Cal would beat USC, even though USC was like 30-point favorite. So shout out to Keenan.
I'm going to draft my first running back, Hayden, with how much Darrell Henderson is missing practice right now. That was my concern, that the Rams would be a committee, that they weren't going to pass to the running backs a bunch, but I think he might be able to run away with this job if Henderson isn't around.
Yep, I've been a Cam Akers fan. I think he's really good, and I think that the Rams, they were missing Todd Gurley, who has the most pass protection reps in the NFL last year among running backs. Darrell Henderson had 6 pass protection reps as a rookie last year. He was not good at it in college. And then in comes Cam Akers, who had the 3rd most pass protection reps out of all college running backs last year. So I think that he's going to be the 3rd down guy, and I think that he's going to end up being the goal line guy as well. So I think all of the high value touches are going to go to Cam Akers. Maybe Darrell Henderson farts around for like 8 carries a game, but I'm not really too concerned about that. And
talk through the Dak pick, obviously stacking up Gallup there. It sometimes stinks to be the one who has to pop the cherry on that 3rd quarterback, but you got to get the stack.
Yeah, not too much cherry popping in the fantasy industry. So when you can do it, you got to be able to do it. So yeah, I'll probably try to circle back with CeeDee Lamb in a little bit, if not Blake Jarwin later. So I think there's an opportunity to grab another one of these Cowboys guys. I think out of all of them, I think the guy I'm most nervous about in the Cowboys is Amari Cooper and his price tag. I still really like Amari Cooper, but where he's going, I have more questions than where Michael Gallup's going.
Yeah. I have so many more. So I obviously, like everybody, I love the Dak and the Dallas stacks. I just have had a harder time getting it with where Gallup and Dak go. versus I have so many of the Kyler stacks where no one wants Nuke in the late second, and then Kirk is very cheap in the seventh, and then Kyler is always, you can kind of wait for Dak and Deshaun to come off the board a lot of times. So I just have so much more of that, but I want to go out of my way to get some more of those Dak Gallups like you have.
Yeah, I kind of forced the issue here. I was going to maybe try to get Stephon Diggs, but I'm just kind of out on Stephon Diggs. I think that there's a lot more target issues with him than people are giving credit for. I think the Bills had the fewest amount of available targets from last season, and now they just added a new number one receiver to their offense. So I think that with John Brown, Cole Beasley, Dawson Knox, 2 running backs, I think there's probably less targets than people are projecting for Stephon Diggs. So that's why I went with Dak.
Yeah, so I don't mind the logic of that at all. I'm actually in on Stephon Diggs, and I think at this price tag, I feel like those risks are baked into it, right? It's
certainly
with Cortland Sutton. Like everyone's like, "Oh, aren't you worried about like the quarterback and stuff?" I was like, if Cortland Sutton was playing with Tom Brady, he'd be going where Godwin and Evans are. It's priced into the ADP.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. I think that I was definitely more likely to want to be going with Michael Gallup, Dak Prescott. If I drafted Stephon Diggs, then that kind of puts me in a big position to draft Josh Allen in the next round or maybe in the 8th round. I just didn't want to have to force that pick in when there might be like a tight end that I like in 4 or 5 picks from here.
For sure, yeah. This is a little bit, like I said, I would say, I don't know, 75% of the time, 80% of the time in my 0 RB builds, I have a tight end through 5. So this will be an interesting deviation here. And I also need to make sure not to get too cute on Matt Ryan.
Oh, yeah. Matt Ryan's going to smash. I mean, 300 yards every single week, basically, until he got hurt. So it's about to happen. What are your thoughts with Hayden Hurst? Because he's kind of somebody that everyone has a strong opinion on. I'm in the boat that I think he's good enough as a player, and I think there's definitely enough volume there that he's actually going to be a tight end 1. But some people are just like really think Hayden Hurst is dusty, which, I mean, he could be. Yeah,
he's not been a guy I've been drafting, and just the way I play fantasy, I don't have a lot of like individual player level takes. It's just normally my construction stuff, and I'm just normally not taking a tight end in that range because I love Gesicki, Hawkinson, Fant, Goddard, and so I'll just let someone else take the Hurst and the Hoopers a couple rounds before. So yeah, I could definitely get burned on him. And with this, I'm not a huge super stack guy. Like I'm probably done with Falcons after I get Matt Ryan here.
Yeah, if you had both of these guys and Hayden Hurst, that means you think like Matt Ryan's going to put up MVP level numbers. I mean, like he would be going absolutely nuts. So I think I kind of max out at 2. Maybe I'll add another running back, but man. All right. I'm probably going to make the pick that I don't like ever making, but I always end up making it anyways, and it's Jameson Crowder just for the same reason. Yeah, I mean,
I was so scared you were going to take my boy.
Oh, stop. I think Jameson Crowder is going to catch twice as many passes as McCole Hardman. I'm definitely willing to get absolutely burned by McCole Hardman, but
here's the thing: I'm trying to win $200,000.
I know.
I think there's, as your colleague John Daigle likes to say, I think there's just so many outs for McCole Hardman to hit. And again, you can have a luxury wide receiver pick in these true 0 RB builds. Like he's not going to be seeing my starting lineup most weeks. But if there's an injury or you catch those couple of spiked weeks, that's what I'm looking for here.
Yeah, I think not enough people, and this is a good point you just made, is if you drafted like 4 receivers or 5 receivers, you have to think, how often is your next receiver actually going to outplay all 4 or all 5 of those guys to actually get into your starting lineup? So you don't want to be drafting somebody that's just going to be like getting a consistent 11 points, because 11 points is not going to make your starting lineup with all those receivers. Like you need to get somebody that's going to have some 3-point weeks, but you don't really care because you're chasing those 20-point weeks.
Yep. Definitely not going to get cute. We're going to get Matt Ryan here. Make sure we lock it up. A few picks ahead of ADP, but we get the double stack. I'm feeling good about that.
I lost CeeDee Lamb earlier, so that was upsetting. All right, I'm going to pick Tyler Higbee here, who I've been a big fan of. I think that people have been slightly overthinking this. We're talking about a player that got paid earlier last offseason. He started games. He was getting volume in the first couple games. Then he actually ended up going to the hospital with a lung issue. I think that Once he was healthy, once Gerald Everett left the lineup, we actually saw what Tyler Higbee can actually do. And I think that they're trying to phase Gerald Everett out of the system. They just drafted another tight end, and they have Higbee there for like 4 or 5 seasons. So I think that they're going to be forcing Tyler Higbee the ball, and I think that the Rams are going to pass the ball a ton, just because I'm not really convinced that their offense in general is very good.
Yep, and setting up that double stack with Goff, who's a very palatable price point. Did you just see the news? Tyrell Williams headed to IR for the Raiders.
Yeah, that's not too surprising. That's kind of concerning for someone like Jalen Reagor, who has a very similar injury. I mean, these guys are just one bad fall away from that shoulder separating. So that's kind of just what we're seeing here. I've drafted so much Henry Ruggs this year, so I can't say I'm too upset about this.
Yeah. I mean, that was already a pretty crowded pass catching core after they bring in, Ruggs, Edwards, Lynn Bowden. You still got Waller, Renfro. So yeah, I don't know if that moves the needle a ton. Definitely probably helps Ruggs even more. But Ruggs is probably already getting all the work he could handle. I don't even know if that moves his projection. Yeah,
not too much. This puts Bryan Edwards into the starting lineup, which was not going to be the case. Like, we had so much Bryan Edwards hype like last month. He was not going to be starting, but now the Bryan Edwards truthers catch a break here. So shout out to them.
There they go. Yeah. So yeah, the shoulder injury, I hadn't read the details about how the Reagor thing happened until I think it was earlier this morning or yesterday. I'm so tilted after hearing how that happened.
I know, that's ridiculous. And Jalen Hurts was only on the field because Carson Wentz was out too. So just like the whole situation was horrendous. I mean, the Eagles cannot catch a break this last couple seasons, but that's why we see Deshaun Jackson, he was in the 8th round pick in our draft. So
yeah. Someone was asking me about that yesterday. I in general have just an age bias and find that to be way too rich, but what is your thought on that?
I don't know. I think he probably goes in the 8th or 9th round. I wouldn't go much higher than that though. Like, I still think that he is kind of one-dimensional to some extent. I think they're just going to send him on a lot of deep clear out routes because they have the guys they actually want to throw the ball to with Zach Ertz and Miles Sanders and Dallas Goedert. So he'll have some big weeks certainly, but I think he's more of a wide receiver 4 flex guy than like a true wide receiver 3.
Yeah. Looks like the board is trying to leave me Hayden Hurst. You won't trick me into doing it. I won't do it. What are you thinking here for your pick?
This is when the insurance backs with like some of this holdout news and the injuries start kind of creeping up. Since I already have Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Austin Eckler, I do not need a Kerryon Johnson. I do not need a Phillip Lindsay type. I don't need some guy that's just going to like fart into like 12 points per game. I need somebody that's like, if something happens, I have like a true, like a top 12, top 15 running back. So I think I might go that direction depending on which receivers are left here. So
yeah, I mean, and Pollard makes sense for your Dak. That's a nice way to continue to bet on the Cowboys offense. Are you going somewhere else?
I think I'm going to go Alexander Mattison. I already have Thielen as well. So I'm kind of like really just investing into like 3 teams now. And I think that Dalvin Cook's holdout risk is kind of being underappreciated. Like he can hold out. Like, there's nothing in the CBA that's saying that he can't hold out. He had to show up to training camp and he did that. The Vikings have no money. And Dalvin Cook wants to get paid, and I don't know. He hasn't been practicing, so something's up there.
So here, my thing that I worry about Madison is if the contingent value is a little bit of a mirage in that he definitely would get, I think, the early down work. But do we project him to catch passes, and are we convinced that Mike Boone wouldn't be a part of that?
There was a report from The Athletic. I think it was Arif Hassan noted that Alexander Madison's been getting all of the first team reps with Dalvin Cook watching in practice, and he hasn't been losing reps to Mike Boone. They think that Amir Abdullah might get cut. So
okay,
I wouldn't be too concerned with it. But
I just put Pollard in your lap, by the way.
Did you? Let's go.
I with my build, as you said, I need some guys who are going to fart around and get me some stuff. That said, Phillip Lindsay, both Lindsay and Kerryon Johnson, the guys ahead of them are injured right now. And I think both of them are independently talented. I don't think those guys are just Jags. Lindsay's been one of the best rushers in the league. Kerryon Johnson still has an interesting profile. So the fact that they'll have a runway without much competition at the start with some upside just based on talent. I don't mind those guys.
Yeah, I would rather have those guys than the Dolphins running backs personally. I think that just they're an injury away from actually being like top 24 type guys, and I think that they'll have some flex value. I think Kerryon Johnson, like particularly in the first couple of weeks, is probably going to have like a goal line role, and the Lions offense is legit. So
yeah,
I'm kind of buying Kerryon to some degree. I mean, his knee is like jacked up. He's already admitted that DeAndre Swift's better than him, and that he can't do any of the things that DeAndre Swift does in practice, but we'll see.
Yeah. Matt Patricia also has a very storied history of frustrating us with true timeshares. So we'll see if he changes his ways. Back to the Dolphins running back thing. I agree with you. I have been drafting Breida when he falls. Mainly, again, going back to looking at our schedule stuff. I mean, they're at home versus the Chiefs, at home versus New England, on the road in the Dome versus the Raiders. So, I mean, those are going to be high scoring games. They're going to be in, eval mode. I assume Tua's playing by then. I could just see them having a very loose, wide open style offense that Breida could really succeed in there at the end.
That's pretty interesting. I didn't even look at a Dolphins schedule. That hasn't even crossed my mind, but I think that if you're looking at game script dependent players, I think Jordan Howard's probably at the top of that list for somebody that's only going to be playing in the ideal game scripts and those run first down. So I think that Matt Breida on the Dolphins probably more interesting between the two of them.
Yeah. And I think it's particularly interesting. So Miami plays KC that first week. So if you're someone that's onslaughting the Chiefs or whatever, I'm bumping up guys like Preston Williams a little bit, Devontae Parker, Breida, Gesicki, all those guys I think are in play if you're treating each of these weeks as a mini GPP.
So you're with me with the Galaxy braining on the playoff matchups. I haven't heard anybody willing to admit that they're doing this. I think that everyone's kind of done it, but I think most people would say that's foolish of us doing this. But I think that there's like actual merit to this.
I think there's absolutely merit to it. I think what's foolish is the super stacking thing. I think people might not realize how these actual Best Ball Mania playoffs work, where we're going to be in a 24-person grouping if you advance. So we're in a 12-person, then a 24. So would you ever do like 5 Falcons in a DFS lineup for a 24-person contest?
Yeah.
No.
I mean, the Falcons would have to score 55 points for it to pay off.
Yeah, so you would never do that, but you would definitely do a quarterback wide receiver stack and bring it back with someone from the other team. So if you can pick off all of these little mini game stacks throughout your playoff weeks in advantageous scenarios, I think that's definitely a way to play it.
Yeah, I think people are starting to come around to this idea that you have to actually look at how the tournament structure's set up and basically think about it like from a DFS lineup. Like you would never put 4 Falcons guys and then a couple of Dolphins guys in the same lineup. It's basically a quarterback, 2 pass catchers, and then 1 guy to bring it back with. At least that's what Adam Levitan's research was saying for DFS lineup. So I'll roll with that. All right. I'm looking at wide receivers again. I only have 4 of them, and I usually have a lot more than that. So I'm going to be pulling the trigger on a lot of receivers in a row. I think one of my fishiest takes of this season is Sammy Watkins actually being something. He's got a role. That's all I can say. Like I don't know if he still has any juice left. I don't know if he's mentally there. He had some crazy offseason reports, but like you can't deny that there is some upside, and I think that he's going to be on the field even if McCole Hardman becomes a thing. I think that Sammy Watkins is like a true number 1 or number 2 receiver, and I think that McCole Hardman has to earn that role. He's more of a gadget guy, so I think that the Chiefs want Sammy Watkins to be a thing, and I'll pull the trigger the 11th, 12th round.
Yeah, no, I don't mind that at all. I think, and all the reports are, Sammy's still, the main guy there alongside Tyreek. He's been massively frustrating, obviously, to people, and that's why he's going at the end of the 11th and not where Mecole Hardman is going. So, yeah, I think for that kind of build, when you start early with running backs and you had already started to make some bets on the Chiefs with Clyde Edwards-Helaire, that's what we're doing. We're making bets on offenses. A stack doesn't just have to be a traditional thing. You can have Clyde Edwards and Sammy Watkins, and no one's going to question anyone who wants to load up on the Chiefs. Yeah,
certainly. And I don't want to pay that Patrick Mahomes price tag too. So you gotta get the benefits of the offense without actually having to spend a 3rd round pick on Patrick Mahomes too. So
Let's see here. I prefer Hawkinson over Gesicki, so I picked him first. Oh, Gesicki, I was going to scoop him. I think normally I wait a little more on my other tight end. I already took Phillip Lindsay. I do have Noah Fant in the similar tier with these guys, and because I didn't get an early tight end, I'm going to get two guys I think have big upside here with Fant and Hawkinson. And now I've got the Carry-On Hawkinson pairing, the Lindsay Fant pairing, and my double stack with the Falcons.
I like it. I like it a lot. I think you're going to like my next pick here. Maybe I'll wait. Nope, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go Visca.
Oh, baby. Okay, now we're talking. Okay, you know what? You know the deal. We got to do it. Normally it's only if I draft him, but you're a good guy. Let's do it. Roll the tape, producer. Oh my goodness! Look at that. Oh, did you realize your shirt ended up off? Did you realize that?
That was really weird. What happened there?
I don't know. I think you blacked out while partying and took your shirt off.
Well, was it? Did I get Visca at least?
You did get him.
Okay, good.
Wild stuff happens when you draft Visca, man. I'm telling you.
Man, when you get that music going, all bets are off at that point.
Now, did you draft him for highlight reel equity, or was that the pick there?
Dude, before I was an NFL Rotoworld writer, I was on the college football Rotoworld writing team, and I was doing Visca blurbs like 3 years ago. And like this was back when the coaching staff was like comparing his workouts to Julio Jones. I mean, this guy he's something. I mean, look at his like early career production at Colorado. He was like I think the second most receptions as a sophomore in like college football history. Like we're talking about a legit player.
Yeah, the only thing knocking him down is his injury history. But newsflash, he's healthy right now. He's stepping into an insane amount of projected opportunity. And as Hayden just inferred, the dude is an absolute beast.
He is. Eventually, I'm gonna have to probably put my shirt on, right?
Yeah, you can. Go for it.
Sweet.
I mean, I'm comfortable with it, but I want you to be comfortable. Let's see what we got going on here. This is probably the time where I normally head over to my queue and I add a few of my quarterback potential stacks that I don't already have, although most of them are already off the table. I guess is Rodgers gone? Yeah, Roger. All right, I actually don't have. I guess we have Locke there and Tyrod. Yep, that's all I got available right now for QBs.
There's no way I haven't missed a pick during this field.
No. You did. We're in the long stretch of the board. You took Visca, and now we're snaking back.
Perfect timing. What's your team looking like right now? I haven't even looked.
So we have the one quarterback, Matt Ryan. We have the 3 running backs, so we need to keep going there. We have the 6 wide receivers. We're nice there, and then the 2 tight ends. So I'm pretty much looking at mostly quarterbacks and running backs the rest of the way.
Solid. I got my eye on a quarterback too. I'm going to try to complete this Jared Goff stack if I can do it. I already got Robert Woods and Tyler Higbee, so this would be perfect timing.
You don't have to worry about me. I will not be getting in the way of Jared Goff for you.
Let's go.
I am going to take – or I'll let you go here.
Yeah, it's Jared Goff. That's
okay.
Easy.
I don't know how it's happened, Hayden, but Keyshawn Vaughn has now become one of my highest owned players on Underdog. And I didn't even like him as a prospect, own him in 0 dynasty leagues. I was talking about this yesterday. When you click his name, I don't know if I can actually pull up his player card right now. The last blurb from 8 days ago on Underdog is that he's going to open the season as a kick returner. And the Ronald Jones hype has been, very deafening. And I like Ronald Jones, but to me, where they drafted him, what this offense is. Again, we go back to the playoff schedule with the Bucs. I mean, home versus mini, at Atlanta, again, with my double stack, and then at Detroit. I already have 2 Detroit players. I think there's a very good chance that Keyshawn Vaughn could have a big role in the offense by that time of the season. And we see the rookie slides in past years. I'm going to pick here. I think I'm going to be going with a running back. Is there anyone here I like? This is kind of a gross range. Is there a quarterback I want to grab here?
This is where things just completely fall off a cliff here.
I know.
I was looking at Mohamed Sanu for a second, so that's how bad. That's the point.
On one of my favorite other running backs right now, Joshua Kelly. What was I going to say? Oh, so about Keyshawn Vaughn, it's like we have seen these rookie slides, and I'm not saying Vaughn is as talented as, Miles Sanders, Nick Chubb, Alvin Kamara, but all of those guys were slitting into the double-digit rounds when they were drafted because people had concerns about the situation. Oh, Carlos Hyde's in front of Nick Chubb, all of these things. And, the narrative too, right, is like Tom Brady's going to decide who plays. And some people are wanting to say, oh, that's going to be Dare when Ronald Jones fucks up. And I think it could be slow going for Keyshawn Vaughn. But again, I want some darts at the high upside play in the playoff round. And I think Keyshawn Vaughn is still relatively exciting.
That's interesting. I haven't even thought about Keyshawn Vaughn in a couple of weeks. I kind of just completely written him off, but
so is everybody else.
I know that's why his ADP keeps falling. So I mean, I don't hate it. Like I was kind of betting on LaShawn McCoy, like being like the third down guy for a while, but who knows how long that'll last.
And also too, like one of the things you were talking about earlier that I think is really important is thinking about the type of production you're getting from your players relative to the roster you constructed. So we talked about Lindsey and Kerryon being guys who are going to give me some immediate production. And then when I draft Keyshawn Vaughn and Joshua Kelly, I'm hoping for that production the last 5 or 6 weeks of the season. And that's the same logic when you draft J.K. Dobbins too, right? You're just paying more of a premium for it.
Yep, it's like stacking against your own team, like where you got somebody in the first half and guy coming in for the second half. So I like that idea too.
All right, let's see.
Do you have any more tight ends? How many tight ends have you?
I did get to Hawkinson and Fant.
Do you end it here? Like, are you comfortable with these, or do you take like Dan Arnold in the 18th round too?
Yeah. So right now I'm at 12. I'm at 14. So I have 4 more picks. 2 are going to be quarterback. 1 will be running back, and I'll probably do a 1 luxury pick either on a flyer, wide receiver, or tight end.
Interesting.
Probably lean. I'll just have to see what quarterback I do. That'll drive it to me, like whatever the better stacking option is. Like if you draft Dwayne Haskins and Sims is off the board, okay, then I'll draft Logan Thomas. But if I'm trying to think of an example. Say if I draft Derek Carr and then Hunter Renfro's there, maybe I would go there for whatever, just the better stacking pairing.
I like it a lot.
And let's check in on your team here. You got your 2 quarterbacks, you got your 2 double stacks. Because the Cowboys, we can count Pollard as part of that. You're pretty set at running back, I would assume, right?
Yeah, I'm done there.
So you're going to be wide receiver and a tight end the rest of the way.
Yeah, I'm probably going to draft Irv Smith with my next pick, kind of lock in that second tight end, and then probably only draft receivers from that point forward. Maybe I'll draft another tight end. We'll see who's available, but I'm definitely chasing points at receiver. So I need to. These are the picks that like really matter for like actually trying to pull this thing together. Is one of these next wide receivers actually has to be like a top 40 guy.
Yeah. It's actually been funny. You and I haven't been. I don't feel like we've really sniped each other at all because we're on different construction trajectories.
Yep. Yeah, and I think the way I've been building my teams is actually like kind of similar to Zero RB, where like I do draft 2 guys in the beginning, but like I do not want to draft anybody for like many rounds, just for like the same reasons that you like Zero RB is like. The middle tier guys are pretty suspect in that the wide receivers kind of in the earlier rounds are quite bankable. So I want to be drafting those guys. I just think the only difference is like I'll take on some of the risk in the first and second round with these running backs, but I do not want to invest into anything into my third running back because you basically have to assume that you're correct with your first 2 picks and then build from there. You can't just be hedging against your first 2 picks the rest of the draft. That means you're losing all this upside. So I'm fine with two running backs and then just like forget about the position.
For sure. No, I completely agree. People have written, both Beers, Mike Leone, about the hyper fragile. If you are going to do it, you're trying to get those 2 to 3 bell cow backs. And if you get 2, you're grabbing a couple more later. But the key is to stop drafting them.
Yeah, totally. People just in general have been putting too much into the running back position, whether that's like total draft picks or it's just like where they're being drafted in general. So I think zero RB has merit. I think that like some modified, like hyper fragile builds also have merit. Just don't draft a third running back if you already have 2 in the first 4 rounds. That's kind of my thing.
Okay, here. I ended up grabbing Lock, just making sure. I probably could have waited maybe one more thing, but I just wanted to lock it up, and there wasn't anyone that I was desperate to get at running back after McKinnon went off the board. Let's see here. I think what I am going to do here, as long as CPD is, I'm going to take Darrell Williams, who I still think has not – his – ADP is not reflected of the news that he's now the number 2 according to camp reports. Oh, he goes CPD.
Dang.
CPD, if you were in the chat, announce yourself. You know what? Because I'm going to do the Jameson Crowder pick equivalent.
Okay.
And take Nyheim Hines.
Okay.
Where I don't think there are too many paths to Nyheim Hines, finishing as a top 15 running back, but I think when you look at what he finished as a top 24 running back in points per game last year in PPR scoring.
Jeez.
So with this kind of build, there are going to be a couple weeks early where I probably need his 8 or 9 points. So I don't mind locking that in this late.
Yeah, I think the Colts are good. Like their entire roster is good. They have one of the best offensive lines. I think that Phillip Rivers behind an actually good offensive line in a dome with a offensive coordinator he's had a ton of success with. I think that he'll rebound to an extent. And T.Y. Hilton seems pretty healthy, and they have a couple of young, intriguing wide receivers. So, yeah, sign me up for all the Colts.
Let's help out one time here. He says, I'm about to put in 12 to 14 hours a day into fantasy. What are the sites and what info should I look for? Been playing fantasy for about 15 years now. Time to get serious. Well, I'll do Hayden's plug for him. You got to check out Rotoworld. That's where you're going to get all your news. They're doing strategy articles. Hayden has been doing some more in-depth strategy stuff. So definitely check out Rotoworld. Where else do you like to look, Hayden?
Honestly, I have like some Twitter lists that I like listening to or following, and I'm like just find like 5 or 6 podcasts. There's so many good podcasts out there with like I love these like draft breakdowns. I love like regular podcasts too, but like a draft breakdown, you actually see the decision points, and you also get some player takes as well. So I like the draft breakdowns the most, actually.
Yep, that's what we do. Pat and I do over at Ship Chasing, doing our breakdowns of our high stakes fantasy football drafts. One time, I know you're subscribed to my YouTube, but if you haven't checked out the Ship Chasing podcast, you'd like those. If you want to get into the best ball stuff a lot, establish the run, that hyper fragile strategy I was just talking about. Mike wrote up how to pull that off. Rotoviz has a ton of great articles. I think the pound for pound, buck for buck, best fantasy site to make your dollar go far. So there you go. Rotoworld, Rotoviz, establish the run, check out some podcasts, and you'll be good to go.
Yeah, I subscribe to Rotoviz. I use their tools probably every single day. And then I also, of course, have a subscription to ETR. So those are 2 like easy things to do where you get data and then also like context within that data. So those would be the 2, and then Rotoworld for news, and you're set.
And yes, Fantasy Mensa, that's actually the number 1 all of your actionable fantasy information. What are you thinking here with your last 2 picks?
I still definitely need a receiver or 2, probably 2 receivers. Maybe I'll dip into this tight end 3 dartboards, but I'm not sure. Oh, the other thing I listened to with you and Maddock and Kitchen and
Swolecast?
Swolecast. Yeah, you gotta listen to Swolecast too.
These guys already know about the Swolecast. They're over it. They want something now. Yes, tune into the Swolecast. Okay, let's see here. Yep, I think I am going to take Tyrod Taylor unless Bert takes him. No, we're going to get – all right, so what are you doing here? I'm
trying to find a wide receiver I like, and there's not too many of them. I I think I'm going to roll the dice with T. Higgins, just like how we were talking about earlier, where I think we're trying to scheme up how these guys are going to do later in the season. So I'm not convinced that he's going to have a big week 1 role, but I think by the end of the year that they're going to just want to start building this connection between Joe Burrow and T. Higgins, especially if like AJ Green, if it's clear that he's not going to be within the organization the following year.
Yeah, I like it. So I got my 3 quarterbacks. I'm good there. Let me see what's at tight end. You know what? I might draft the other side of your coin, the Tyler Higbee. I'll take Gerald Everett if he's here.
I like it. He's like the direct backup. I think Gerald Everett has top 10 tight end like within his range of outcomes. I think he needs a Higbee injury to happen, but I'm looking at these tight ends too, and it's pretty bleak out here.
I would maybe go a little farther and say that he's like a poor man's Goddard in that I think he's going to have some standalone value, but I agree with you to access the ceiling. He's going to need an injury.
Could you sell me on this Logan Thomas stuff? I haven't done enough research on Logan Thomas to have a full commitment either way. I mean,
I'm actually not. I know he was fairly athletic. I think the thesis is just there's no one behind McLaurin and everything is up for grabs. And then he's having good camp reports.
That's good enough for me. Let's do it. if I hit this for 200,000, I'll send you a little Logan Thomas check.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, no, and he's been a guy because I've been drafting McLaurin a lot, then I'm getting Haskins cheap. And then I found myself drafting because I'm like, you're not building any other stacks around, and Logan Thomas is generally free. So
hey, you sold me at athletic. That's all I care about.
Yeah. Let me just make sure before, you can't
54th percentile spark.
Yeah, I know. Now I really hope I didn't mix him up with
Come on, 80 or above, please.
Let's see here. There we go.
Oh, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, I told you. Yeah. It was athletic.
Oh, yeah. Let's go. I just look at the 40-yard dash. That's like all I really care about. 4.6 at 248 pounds. Yeah, I'm in. 18th round every time now.
Yeah. The only problem is I didn't actually realize he was almost 30 years old, but
that's not great.
I did not
what has he been up to?
What's that?
What has he been up to? How long has he been in the league for?
He looks like he was in the league before College Dominator, College YPR, Breakout Age, and Spark X were invented. Is basically how long he's been in the league.
What? I did not know that. I thought he was like a third-year guy that like was like a 6th-round player that I didn't even know about.
I did too. See, everything I said to you was the truth. I just didn't know about the age until now.
We need a player profiler to make adjustments as a converted QBSC.
Okay.
We need to make adjustments based off of age. He's probably like what? He was like an 88th percentile guy. Now he's probably like a 65 percentile guy now.
That actually makes sense. In the same way you throttle down a pro day 40 time, you need to start to adjust this athleticism.
Adjust the ranks.
It is like a bummer. I mean, we're getting to the point with like the next gen stats and stuff where we should be able to have like real time, like 40 speed and stuff. Like we should be able to approximate that with that chip technology.
They have it. They just don't want to release it, which is sad. I mean, the only thing we have to go off of right now, I think, is just like max speed, but like that's like such a flawed stat.
Yeah. All right. Let's do a quick recap of the draft, and then we will get out of here. I'll pull up the board here. Let's do this, and I'll scroll down, and you talk me through how you're feeling about your team.
Okay, so got off with the 2 running backs, which I liked, and I didn't draft one until after the 100th pick, and I just drafted a couple of guys that are just pure insurance types. Hopefully, they get a couple weeks where they become my flex. At receiver, I drafted 4 of them early. All of them are just high floor guys. I don't think that any of them have like true massive ceilings outside of maybe Michael Gallup. So that's why I drafted Sammy Watkins, Laviska Shenault, Andy Isabella, and T. Higgins, who are all very low floor guys, but I think they'll have some high potential weeks as well. And then at tight end, I'm banking on Tyler Higbee. And then at quarterback, Dak Prescott and Jared Goff to kind of complete some stacks. So I'm pretty happy with the team overall.
Nice. Yeah, I think like you said, you kind of barbelled it well with the floor wide receivers and then taking some big cuts later. And then a guy like Tony Pollard, to win the $200,000, you need that like the Zeke injury, and all of a sudden that you have just the 3 main pieces of the Dallas offense, or those are the kind of scenarios where you can really access the ceiling. I had, my typical 0 RB team. Definitely happy with the receivers as planned. I do like my 0 RB builds when I grab one of these rookie running backs, a Cam Akers or a Dobbins. So I like getting Akers there. Relatively cheap price, in my opinion, at 6'4". I get my double stack with Matt Ryan. I get a lot of the guys I'm making bets on. So I get Denver, 3 Denver guys. I have 2 Detroit guys. These are all teams that I like their schedules. I come back, I get a couple Tampa Bay guys. Oh, and then I also had the Chargers stack as well with Tyrod Keenan, Joshua Kelly, some backfillers here with Nyheim Hines and Gerald Everett. These are the kind of teams I like to build. Happy with that positional allocation.
Yeah, you get all the cheap stacks outside of Matt Ryan, but like you're loading up at receiver. So yeah, pray for the running backs, but that's usually a good bet.
That's what I say every night before I go to bed. Pray for my running backs. Hayden, anything else we're missing other than your work over at Rotoworld right now?
Yep, just got a bunch of in-season content. We probably have like 2 or 3 columns a week over at Rotoworld, but just follow me on Twitter at Hayden Winks.
Are you heading on to blurb duty right now?
Yep, 30 minutes. Any blurb that you see, any misspellings, any grammatical mistakes, that's usually me. So over at Rotoworld for the next couple hours.
There you go. All right, guys, thanks for coming out. I'm going to be back again I'll do another best ball draft tomorrow afternoon. We'll do the randomizer best ball draft on Thursday night. It's draft season, guys. Thank you. We'll see you tomorrow.